Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Travel with Nature. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. It is greatly appreciated. Today we are taking a tour through Cedar Key, Florida. Cedar Key is an island city off the northwest coast of Florida, in the Gulf of Mexico. They became an incorporated city in 1923. According to the 2020 census, Cedar Key has a population of 687 and the size of the island is 2.17 square miles. The old-fashioned fishing village is now a tourist center with several regionally famous seafood restaurants. The village holds two festivals a year, the Spring Sidewalk Art Festival and the Fall Seafood Festival, and both attract thousands of visitors to the area. Our first point of interest on this tour is the Sunset Isle RV Resort. They are working on this resort in an attempt to fix and reopen after Hurricane Ida last season. Check with the community forum to get updates to when they will open again for business. Our second point of interest on this trip is the Low-Key Hideaway and Tiki Bar. This property is a friendly adult-only motel, RV campground and tiki bar situated in the little historic town. Be sure to bring your camera, binoculars, and appetite for nature when visiting. Cedar Key is home to some of the best birding along the coastline and is known around the world to have some of the best clams there are. On the south side of Highway 24, as you make your way onto the island, you will find Pirates Cove coastal cottages. At Pirates Cove you will enjoy beautiful sunrises over the bay. Each cottage is equipped to make your stay feel like a home away from home. Here is Kiss Coffee House and Grill. Kiss Coffee House and Grill is a cozy and inviting dining spot located at 398 3rd Street in the charming town of Cedar Key. With a focus on comfort food and quick bites, Kiss Coffee House and Grill offers a range of delicious options for lunch. Up next we have Annie's Cafe. Annie's Cafe is in a nondescript weathered old building on your right as you first come into Cedar Key. It is several blocks away from the trendier and newer restaurants downtown at the waterfront dock area. The interior is plain but clean and comfortable. The staff is very agreeable and service is prompt. Conveniently located on the corner of 24 and 3rd Street, we see there is a small neighborhood market. The market at Cedar Key has everything you'd expect to find in a neighborhood grocery store, and many things you wouldn't expect. If you live in or around this beautiful island, or if you're just visiting, check them out. Personally, I love driving through the small towns and seeing the colorful pastels that are being used in the revitalization of quaint America. As we make our way over to Dock Street, we find several restaurants and small shops. Driving down this one way, past the pier, we find Dunkin's on the Gulf, which is temporarily closed due to Ida, Steamer Seafood, Island Trading Post, Dilly Dally Galley Gift Shop, Cedar Key Harbor Master Suites, and Liam and Maudie's. It's easy to spend the entire day in this tourist area of the quaint village. On the far end of Dock Street, we see a public boat launch with several docks available. Bring your boat, family, and your appetite for a beautiful, relaxing day on the Gulf of Mexico. On the corner of a street and 2nd Street you will find Park Place Condos. Each of their rental condos features a private balcony with stunning views of the park and the Gulf of Mexico, providing the perfect spot to relax with a glass of wine or a cup of coffee while watching the sunrise or sunset. We make our way to the end of 2nd Street and here we see Cedar Cove. Cedar Cove has fully equipped condominiums directly on the Gulf of Mexico in Cedar Key, Florida. They rent units by the day, week or month. Straight ahead you will see Nature's Landing condominiums. This is one of the newest developments with great access to downtown, the park, beach area, shops and restaurants. There is a swimming pool, hot tub with an area to barbecue outside and a nice trail to dock access where you can enjoy a kayak ride on the back of the island or see the splendor of birds and wildlife. On the right is Island Hotel and Restaurant. The structure that is now the Island Hotel was built sometime between 1859 and 1860. Records indicate that Major John Parsons bought the property in 1859. In 1896, a devastating hurricane struck Cedar Key. Much of the town was destroyed and Parsons and Hawley's general store was severely damaged. It was the beginning of bad luck for the town. Heading farther down 2nd Street we find Cedar Key Realty, Cedar Key Chamber of Commerce, Cedar Key Whole Artists Co-op and Gallery, Salty Seas, City of Cedar Key Building, Jiffy Food Convenience Store, Cedar Key Pizza and Subs, and 1842 Daily Grind and Mercantile. As I toured around Cedar Key, I could not help but notice that there are several properties for sale. While you are visiting Cedar Key, be sure to visit one of their realty offices and scout out a beautiful parcel for your vacation spot. Coming up on the left we find Seahorse Landing Condominiums. At Seahorse Landing you can expect breathtaking views of the Gulf of Mexico from all of our luxury to bedroom condominiums. Spectacular sunsets are commonplace from your condo balcony. Each of our 15 beautifully furnished units has a large private balcony, a fully equipped kitchen, 2 baths, washer, dryer, and free Wi-Fi. Straight ahead is Cedar Key School. Cedar Key School is a public K-12 school. It was founded as a private school in the 19th century and is the smallest public high school in the state of Florida. It serves 189 students in pre-K-12 with a student-teacher ratio of 9.4 to 1. Cedar Key, the rustic town on Waikiki, was settled in the early 1840s. The Second Seminole War was officially ended here in 1842. Soon after, steamboats filled the waterways. They carried cotton and lumber along the Gulf Coast and to foreign nations. In the mid-1800s, the place was an industrial center. The cedar trees that bestowed the town name supplied a large pencil factory. Florida's first coast-to-coast railroad had its Gulf terminus at Cedar Keys, as the town was then called. After the Civil War, the place boomed for 30 years. Cedar Key is a very unique town. The community is very kind and generous. The overall environment of the town is like no other. Cedar Key was the second largest city in the state during the 1880s, with trains bringing hundreds of thousands of tourists. Eagle Pencils set up a factory to take advantage of the abundant cedar forests and proceeded to make pencils, which they exported to the world. In 2021, Cedar Key had a population of 897 people with a median age of 54 and a median household income of $62,788. Between 2020 and 2021, the population of Cedar Key grew from 840 to 897, a 6.79% increase, and its median household income declined from $65,455 to $62,788, a 4.07% decrease. If you're yearning for an off-the-beaten-path getaway that's rich in small-town flavor and charm, Cedar Key may be perfect for you. Hidden away on Florida's Gulf Coast as it curves up toward the northwest part of the state, you'll find Cedar Key, the ultimate Florida original. Yes, weekend tourists outnumber guys fishing these days. And condos claim the east side of town, though even those are rustic and inviting, instead of high-rise affairs that block the sunrise. But tourists, like the condos, are muted here. The beaches aren't the main draw. Most of Florida's beaches are generous, wide affairs. The ones here are little strips of sand. Cedar Key State Bank came along in 1912. The wood industry continued to grow. The fishing industries continued to provide much of the local income at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. Cedar Key is a perfect piece of old Florida, a place time and the troubles of today seem to have passed by. It's the sort of place the locals speak to you and know you by day 3, a place where they still say yes ma'am and no sir, and a place you'll need cash at some local shops and restaurants. Yet, it has its share of boutique shops, a trendy art gallery co-op, and hop-in bars aplenty. It's also home to a national wildlife refuge and plenty of nature. There are a surprising number of accommodations for an island with a population of just under 900. From a hotel on the National Register of Historic Places, to waterfront suites, camping, and quirky fishing cottages, there's a style for all. I was torn between the options, but loving bed and breakfast accommodations, I booked the Cedar Key Bed and Breakfast or first visit. while return visits head us at an RV park. Cedar Key is surrounded by numerous other keys, 13 of which make up the Cedar Keys National Wildlife Refuge. When visiting, you must explore by water, whether it's renting a kayak or booking a boat tour. There are several options. Bursting with history and wildlife, Accommodations is the best key to visit if you only have time for one. It was the original Cedar Key, home to the pencil factory and a decent-sized port. However, the number for hurricane of 1896 decimated the island. In fact, you can still see the pencil mill ruins along the beach by the old pier. Bricks are scattered across the beach and broken pottery lies just below the sand. It's a ghost town, a 100-year-old scene still intact. There are several trails on the island, but only one is clear. Take the boardwalk to the cemetery path. It leads past relics of the island's history, an old water cistern, a defunct windmill, and finally, the cemetery founded in 1877. The path continues just past the cemetery, where the mangroves open to a salt marsh. You may find seabirds. We scared a flock of egrets off with our approach. Also, remember this is a wildlife refuge. There are lots of snakes, big ones. Gators aren't too common, but they do swim the brackish water to reach the outlying keys. Just be cautious. Mosquitoes can be terrible, but thanks to the cool winter weather, we've never had any issues. It's so easy and pleasant to bike around the island. There's so little traffic, and half of that is golf carts. We borrowed bikes from the B&B, and later brought our own, to ride along the waterfront, through neighborhoods, and just get lost. It's a small island, so even if you do get lost, you don't have far to go. If you don't have your own bicycle, Cedar Key Adventures rents them. They also rent kayaks and golf carts. A short 0.6 round-trip trail that follows a portion of the old Florida Railroad. It's peaceful and quiet. It ends by the water, where a few of the railroad's trestles can still be seen. The large natural area is a paddler's playground, with plenty to explore. It's also home to several nice hiking trails, a few miles from Cedar Key. To reach it, take SR24 off the key and turn left on CR 347. Follow the signs to the Shell Mount. Stellar Gulf sunsets, always a pleasure. My 2 recommendations on the best spots to catch it. There's a small stretch of beach at the intersection of 3rd Street and G Street. It's a perfect view, without the people. Otherwise, it's just as good from the Cedar Key fishing pier on Dock Street, with the people. You won't catch the full effect from the Dock Street restaurants, but if you're dining outside at Dunkin's you'll get a glimpse at least. These isolated islands played a significant role in fish, shrimp, and oyster harvesting. The 19th century railroad between Cedar Key and Fernandina Beach eliminated the hazardous and time-consuming water journey around the tip of Florida. Travel time for people and foods from the upper Gulf Coast took only 8 to 9 hours. When delivered to Fernandina Beach, they were loaded on rail cars and transported to upper East Coast cities in record time. Thank you for riding with me on my tour of Cedar Key, Florida. Head on out to the Gulf Coast of Florida and check out this cute and quaint little town. If you haven't already, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this.